The Merriam-Webster dictionary defines the phrase minimalist art as an abstract art form consisting primarily of simple geometric forms executed in an impersonal style. But is there all is to it? Let's explore further. Collins Dictionary defines minimalist art as abstract paintings or sculptures in which expressiveness and illusion are minimized by the use of simple geometric shapes, flat color, and arrangement of ordinary objects. That's a little better, but the answer we are looking for comes from all places Wikipedia, wherein the phrase is called to be movements and various forms of art and design, especially visual art and music, where the work is set out to expose the essence, essentials, or identity of subject through eliminating all non-essential forms, features, or concepts. Which brings us to today's topic, the 2005 PlayStation 2 classic Shadow of the Colossus, developed by Japanese game designer Fumito Ueda's Team Ico. Now, I'm sure most of you have played or at least heard of this game. But what makes this game legendary? What makes its fans worship it as the epitome of video gaming? What is the appeal of Shadow of the Colossus? "2005 was a banner year for video games, as the last full year of the sixth generation of video game consoles. Game studios were coming out with banger after banger: God of War, Resident Evil 4, Devil May Cry 3, Guitar Hero, and Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, amongst others. But amongst this pile of blood, gore, and iconic games, a more simpler looking game stood out. Well, it isn't exactly fair to call Shadow of the Colossus simple, a game where you slay dozens of feet tall colossi, but you will understand if you know the game. For those out of the loop, Shadow of the Colossus is an open world 3D puzzle platformer wherein you climb these colossi and stab them in their weak points. The protagonist, known simply as Wander, visits the temple in a forbidden land with a girl named Mono. Inside the temple, a voice from the above tells that Mono could be revived if Wander could slay 16 colossi traversing these lands. The story is quite simple at first, but as you slay each colossi, you begin to notice a slight change with each kill. Changes in Wander's appearance, in the reception of the colossi, and the intentions of this heavenly voice, named Dormin. The story grips you by the balls until you pay attention, and by the end, one couldn't help but shed a tear. The story of the game is a classic example of the concept I'm calling the depth of minimalism, wherein at first glance, the piece of art looks basic enough, but with proper attention and analysis, the true depth of its concepts, hidden by its simple appearance, can be fleshed out. You've heard me calling this game a piece of art, and yes, while in gaming community, video games are considered widely as a piece of art, Shadow of the Colossus is one of the few games to break that threshold. As when people argue in favor of calling games pieces of art, this game is about the first example given by like-minded gamers. The minimalism of the game is a big reason for its appeal. Besides gameplay and visuals, the minimalism seeps through to the world of the game itself. With this large and expansive world with almost nothing to do but to follow the beams reflected by the sword in direction of your next target. But this world which you traverse in is widely immersive, with open plains, deserts, lakes, mountains, and plateaus. And this all can be experienced in HD in the PS4 remake made by Bluepoint Games. There's an absence of NPCs, buildings, and other stuff which makes other open worlds feel more packed and alive. Our definition of minimalist art rings true, where the essence and true identity of the game fleshes out in eliminating non essential features and concepts. The world of the game feels empty because it is supposed to mirror the melancholy and dire emptiness of the wanderer himself. And when you come across one of the colossi, the low angle of the camera and the minute space Wander occupies on the screen is reflective of smallness and dread of the character and in turn the player, questioning how in the blue hell can one slay such a beast with just a sword and a bow arrow. Calling the world empty doesn't mean it's incomplete. In fact, it's rife with places to explore, like the secret garden on the top of the temple, the stamina to climb which can only be acquired after multiple playthroughs of the main story. Complementing the diversity of these lands is the diversity in colossi. All these behemoths differ wildly in where they live, their attacking style, and how to approach them. They differ from 2.5-meter tall dogs to 48-meter tall Goliaths, 25-meter tall horses to 70-meter long electric sea serpents, and 150-meter long octobirds. Another brilliant aspect of how the game feels is the sound design of the game, which for such an artsy game is appropriately iconic. The music at all points reflects how the player should feel, in part pushing the player where the game wants them to emotionally be. When Wanda first enters these lands, the music is ominous, just like the state of bewilderment the player is in. Curious about the nature of these lands and what is going on the screen in general. Music while going to the next colossi is next to non-existent, besides the ambient sounds, trying to keep the player's focus on the scenery and the task in hand. When facing a colossi, it is anime style epic, not the electric guitar type, the other type. The sound of their footsteps and growls is earth shattering, just so that the player can understand the wanderer's peril. Those paying attention may have realized that I have not talked about the gameplay itself, and although the remake made the controls smoother and better suited, the controls of the original are a bit wonky and ragdoll like. This can be seen in all three games made by Team Ico. I understand that usually a game is as good as its gameplay, but Shadow of the Colossus is an exception. While the gameplay isn't terrible, it's not perfect either. But once you immerse yourself in the world of this game, the gameplay itself will play second fiddle to the scenery you admire, the story you are hooked on, and the sense of exploration you feel. But we've talked enough of how the game hits your senses. Let's say you become a fan. What is there in this fandom besides this wonderful artistic video game? The Shadow of the Colossus fan community is unlike any other in the world, with thousands discussing and debating the deeper meaning of every nook and cranny of this ominous world, whether it be connecting its world to other two games made by Team Ico, and The Last Guardian, digging up the game's files, expecting there to be another Colossi hidden in the game, or creating theories formed along the trails of a few words spoken in the game. This is a post on the PlayStation forums known as the Quest for the Last Big Secret Mysteries of Shadow of the Colossus, posted in December 2007. It was the start of a 562-page long thread with over 5,500 people asking questions, presenting theories, and digging through the code of the game itself. Ultimately christened the Secret Seekers, this is one of the most dedicated fan communities in the world, with sites dedicated to completely minute details and overall admiration of the game and its world. The Secret Seekers are doing the kind of literary analysis we pay schools to learn. Though the community never found the long heralded 17th Colossi, this is the form of analysis and fan dedication which hardly comes by. So much so that the community was honored in the PS4 remake via the credits and a hidden shrine dedicated to the Secret Seekers. Thank you so much for watching this video. This is something new that I'm trying, and I'll try making videos on other games I admire or the ones you suggest. This has been Keons, and I am out.